Hello, and welcome to the Thyroid Warrior podcast. I'm Ebony, and I'm here as your wellness facilitator. I'm going to be sharing my experiences in managing Hashimoto's disease. I really hope that it'll help you on your personal journey. Keep in mind, however, this does not substitute for medical advice. It is only for your information and motivational purposes only. Now, let's get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for your continued support. And I also wanted to make sure I gave you an update. In about another week or so, I will be letting you guys know about everything that's going on from my website to podcast stuff to everything under the sun in terms of what my new presence will be, so to speak, online. In an effort to make sure that you guys still have access to things, whether you follow me on Instagram at Ebony Colina, within the bio there, I have my Healthy Together group as well as my thyroid guide there. You can also go to bit.ly/thyroid warrior to purchase my guide. And I wanted to give you guys a heads up that my social media handles will be changing to Joyful Ebony, one word. And the reason why I am going to be choosing, or I have chose that particular name, is because the word joy has literally been my word for the last year and a half. And I have been working very diligently to get to that point. And initially my word of the year was flourish. And I think that I'm doing that to an extent. However, in this season of my life, joy has constantly been my driving force behind everything that I do and everything that I believe that I am becoming. And I realized that in order for me to really pour into you all, I had to make sure that I was coming from a place of that very word, as well as being the healthiest version of me so that I can really and truly pour into you all. So that is what I will be choosing. You will slowly start to see that change over time. And when I say over time, I mean in the next week or so. And my website will be that as well, joyfulebony.com. So I am really looking forward to all of the things and all of the changes. And I will be giving you guys an update on how to make sure you're on my email list as well. And all of that will come in the next couple of weeks. But for right now, let's talk about something. So I have been going through the process of trying to find a new endocrinologist, and that is where the idea came behind the last series of our podcast episodes. And I know that I said, okay, you've gone to the doctor, now what? But I want to go more in depth with that because what happened for me was not what I was expecting. So the first interesting thing that happened was during my visit with the endocrinologist, we talked about a lot of things, but I want to go back and kind of give you more information on that. And I was very pleasantly surprised at the experience that I had with that endocrinologist. And for example, the nurse for the endocrinologist literally called me a couple of days before the visit and asked me to go to the lab to get my blood drawn so that they would have the most recent and up-to-date lab values prior to me coming to the office, which is amazing. And if you can get that done prior to your visit, I highly recommend it because it literally made the visit go so much smoother. So you will want to try to go to the lab at least 2 to 3 days prior to your appointment, so that you can get your thyroid panels drawn. Now, why do I think this was really good? Because when I went to the doctor, he literally sat there and talked to me. I wasn't expecting that. I was very much so used to just going in, telling them the business, them telling me what they said I should do and all this stuff, and just that being it. But he literally sat, I had my patient's story ready to go, and I literally had all of the details. He wrote them down, and the only time he actually went to the computer was to look at my lab values. And I was blown away because I was not expecting that at all. So that, plus the nurse calling me prior, plus just getting in and having a pleasant experience with the front desk staff when I arrived, made my visit incredibly smooth. And as I said, when I went to check in for my appointment and I asked the front desk staff how this particular doctor was, and they're like, oh yeah, he's very nice, he's very thorough, and you're going to be able to get a lot of questions answered from him. And I said, that's very comforting to know because I was really nervous about that. And they were like, oh no, he's very nice. So that's why I say talk to the front desk staff, talk to the medical assistant that's taking your blood pressure. Don't talk to them while they're actually doing it because you actually need to sit still so that they can get an accurate reading. But just be open to the experience. And I have to say, I'm so glad that I had everything ready to go and written down. And even from doing the standard test to determine from an outward appearance how my body was doing, he was incredibly gentle. So I know that you guys know how that feels when you go to determine if you have a goiter or a nodule, and it literally feels like the doc is trying to just completely and totally squeeze your neck and just choke you. And again, that did not happen. And I was pleasantly surprised yet again. So it was a very, very overall positive experience. I took my shake. I told him the supplements that I was taking, and he was very pleased with that. And he said, you know, your TSH values have gone down, your antibody levels have dropped significantly, and you really are doing everything right. So continue to do that. And he said, honestly, you don't even really have to come to me anymore because you're doing so well. So you really can get your thyroid levels monitored by your primary care at this point. And as long as nothing goes wrong or your levels don't come back and they're either really high or really low, then you're fine. And in that moment, I couldn't tell if I wanted to cry or scream for joy or just lay back down, because for so long, it was kind of just going through the motions. And there were times when I was doing my meal prep or when I would have joint pain or things would swell, or depending on how humid it was outside, my joints would bother me. And I would wonder, like, why am I doing all of this? Why am I working so hard? Why am I eating all this stuff? Like, I just want a cheeseburger and some French fries with real bread, you know? And it was in that moment where I recognized and realized I'm doing it because I want to feel better. I just want to get back to a point of feeling normal again. And I can honestly and truly say that I feel better now than what I did when I was 18 years old. That was over 10 years ago, by the way. And to really be in this moment, be in this space, and be in this time of having all of those flashbacks of going to the doctor and having really bad experiences. For those of you that are going through this for the first time, just know that it does take time. And as frustrating as it can be, sometimes you're not alone. And that's the biggest reason why I created this podcast, because I wanted you to know that you don't have to go through this on your own. And I am incredibly grateful and incredibly thankful for you all. And I just need you to know that I see you. And each and every day, when you're taking those small steps and when you're working as hard as you possibly can in order to be your best self, you're doing it for a reason, and the work is going to pay off. And right now, I really just want to give a very, very special shout out to Amanda because she is really just taking the bull by the horns, and she is working so hard to be diligent about finding out what's going on with her. She was diagnosed earlier in the year, and I'm just so proud of her. And Amanda, I just want to give you a shout out today and let you know that you are doing it. I know that you have some follow-ups that you had to get taken care of today, but I want you to know that my heart is with you. And this is why I tell you guys, like, reach out to me. Obviously, I'm not going to share very personal details that you may or may not share with me. But again, like, it's important to me to let you all know that you're supported. And the other thing that I still want to make sure that I'm working on is my diet. So especially if you're going through this for the first time, one of the biggest things that I needed to figure out was, do I have a sensitivity to some things, or do I really and truly have allergies? Because in the summer, there are so many different types of fruits and vegetables that are readily available, and peaches just so happen to be one of them. And it kind of sparked me to remind you guys of that. I tend to get a little itchy around my mouth, and for me, that's a trigger to think, okay, I'm having some type of immune response from eating this, only when the skin is on it, but I need to pay attention to this. Is this a sensitivity, or is this going to develop into an allergy later on? And I will tell you that sometimes you can have an allergy that develops later in life. You can have adult onset allergies. And I won't go into too much detail about that today, but on next week's podcast episode, I have a very special guest that will be talking about all of those things. And she'll really be going and giving us a deep dive about food allergies and how to really work through that. And her name is Kristen Osborne, and she is amazing. And I cannot wait for you guys to hear that episode. And also, because I know how challenging this is, I always try to make sure that I'm giving you guys different perspectives. So we are going to start talking to some other warriors out there, and I want you to be able to see that although we may have different conditions, we're all in this together. And I really want you to hear their stories so that you know, again, that you're not alone, and that a lot of the struggles that you'll hear are very similar. So I am so excited for the next couple of episodes because they're going to be really good. So with that, I hope that you are having an amazing day and that you'll be able to see the sunshine today. And in the meantime, be happy, be whole, and be well. Take care. Okay, thyroid warriors, get out there and take things one step at a time. Remember, be great, reflect on your triumphs, and as always, be well. Take care.